Barting Over is a pretty interesting episode of The Simpsons. It's not my all time favourite, but I did like it. This is the 11th episode of the 14th season, directed by Jim Reardon and Matthew Nastuck. And the only thing that I don't like about this is the fact that it's unbelievable, because most states, if not every state, has their own version of Coogan's Law that would make this narrative impossible, obsolete. But because we don't know where The Simpsons is set, they can kind of get around that. This tells a story of the time that Bart was in a commercial, or various commercials, and as a baby, and it turns out that his father, instead of saving the money, like he would have done under Coogan's Law, or the various other ones, he spent it on himself. And Bart is so livid that he ends up legally being allowed to move out and separate from his parents. But life on your own when you're 10 years old can actually be pretty scary, even when there's a guest appearance there to help you. I'll talk about who the guest appearance is in a moment. But I found it enjoyable. My first thought was, yeah, this wouldn't actually be possible under those various laws. But once I kind of got past that fact, I thought, well, actually, this is an important discussion to have. As far as I'm aware, it's only 15% that parents are legally required to put into a trust for their child, which doesn't seem like very much money, particularly if the child is older and doing most of the work. But nevertheless, I think Bart had a right to be angry. I would be furious. And seeing Bart out on his own, and especially the conversation he had with Milhouse, I thought was great. And the scene in the elevator, I loved. And then we get the guest appearance, and that is Tony Hawk and Blink 182 as well, which are all, pretty big names, pretty good guest appearances. It's been a good few episodes since we had some guest voices, so it seems like it's about time. I think the episode developed really well, it unfolded really well, it was completely unpredictable. The way it ended, I thought, was just spot on and absolutely fantastic. Well, maybe fantastic's too strong a word, but I liked it. Barting Over is definitely a good episode. It's one that I would like to watch multiple times over. I've seen it several times now, and it's not lost its appeal yet, but it's just not perfect. And I think maybe that's because I'm getting annoyed at this law. But again, because we don't know where it's set, they can just say, well, we're set in a place where that law doesn't exist, which would be a pretty terrible thing. But nevertheless, Barting Over is a pretty decent episode. It's just never going to be an all time favourite.